Hi everyone, welcome again to Bake Your Way Kitchen. On today's video I'm going to show you kind of an interesting recipe. It's banana bread with a bit of a twist. There's a few unusual ingredients, a few unusual steps, but overall I think you really do like it. The first thing you'll need to do is get your oven heated up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius, and just have all your ingredients out so that way we can get right on going. Very easy and simple to do this. It's so easy. Before we just dig right in and do the recipe, I thought I'd show you this. These are two very large bananas, so you might want to use 3 bananas if you're using smaller ones. And you'll see here, what I did here was very simple. I put on the stove these bananas, I sliced up the bananas, put them on a stove that had, in a skillet with a teaspoon or 2 of peanut oil. You could use any flavorless oil as well. And I put in about half a teaspoon of cinnamon, I know that sounds like a lot, and about a tablespoon or 2 of brown sugar. And I mixed it together for about a minute on medium heat. And this is what you end up with, and those flavors are really going to come out. In this recipe, we don't mash the bananas and add it in with the wet ingredients. The sliced bananas are part of this bread, and you'll see how that works out shortly. So, what I've got here in my large bowl is some shortening. Now, you can use butter. For this recipe, for some reason, I just find the shortening works better for me. I do find that I leave the banana bread in the fridge, and I do find that the result, that the shortening keeps a little bit more moist when put in the fridge, because this is our main fat base, and I think it does a better job than butter. I don't usually use shortening, so this is one of the few occasions I do, but just so you know, anytime I use shortening, you can use butter. Anytime I use butter, you can use shortening. Vice versa. But for this, we'll just stick with this. So what I'm going to do, before we add anything else, with a handheld mixer, or you could use the stand mixer, I'm just going to beat this till it's a bit creamy before we move on with the other ingredients. Alright, and all the ingredients amounts are at bakeyourway.com, so please do check out the website for all recipe details. This is about half a cup. And to that I'm going to add in some brown sugar. There we go. Give that a little bit of a beating. So there's one other thing that I do add in this banana bread. I'm just going to get it. I like to keep it in the fridge until I absolutely need it. I do add in about a tablespoon or so of whipping cream, just to make the wet part of this batter a little more wet. If you don't have whipping cream, you can just use a regular cream. This will also contribute with the richness. And, I mean, you could leave it out, but I really do find it does make a difference in the end. So, here we go. Here we go. Alright, so, here's what we have here. So I've got in a little bit of vanilla. Oh, I added a little more than I planned to, but you know what? You can never have too much vanilla. And banana and vanilla, they just go so well together. I don't know, maybe just right inside my head I intentionally did that. Alright, it really smells like vanilla now. You're going to have to get those bananas in there soon, which we will. So, what we're going to do now is add in our dry ingredients, and I've got some rolled oats here. It's about half a cup, with our flour, salt, and baking soda. And give this a mix just until it combines, and I'll show you the next step. this a quick scrape down. As you can see, it's really quick and simple to make. Whoops. Now that we've added that, we are going to add in a little bit of milk. We're going to be adding in about a 1/4 cup. And I do like to keep it in the fridge until I absolutely need it. And I know you shouldn't really measure it in this, but it's give or take. It's basically just a little bit that we need to mound it all together. And I am going to add in something else, a little something else, and I'm going to get in with my hands soon. But as you can see, we've got a really stiff batter. So what we're going to do now is add in some of this chocolate. Now, listen very carefully, because what I like to do with the chocolate is have it swirled throughout it. So swirled throughout the dough. I don't want the whole batter to be chocolate. So just mix it. This is 2 ounces of bittersweet chocolate. Just mix it to combine. That is it. So just just get it wet. Get it all quickly throughout the dough, so that it kind of, all the dough has a little bit of the chocolate, but we're not looking to fully incorporate it with chocolate, if you know what I mean. I like to have those kind of like this. We're pretty much there now. We just want those chocolate specks. I just think it's so critical in this recipe. So we've got our batter now, and that's it. I'm not going to mix it anymore. So you'll see we have I've got toasted nuts here, and I've got bananas, and we're going to layer them in the loaf pan. So I'm just going to clean up, and then we're going to get the loaf pan and put this in the oven. Alright, so one thing important I forgot to mention, one thing I didn't show you in the wet ingredients is the eggs. I had them to the side, and I knew I forgot something, so I added them. If that ever happened to you, you can always add it in after the dry ingredients, but just so you know, add the eggs with the wet ingredients, I'm sorry. So I've got the batter here, and so I'm going to take, I've greased a loaf pan here, and so what we're going to do is I'm going to take about 1/3 of the mixture. I mean, I'm going to be kind of guesstimating here. And you're going to want to spread a layer. You can use an offset spatula if you have one, or a knife. We're going to spread a layer on the bottom of our loaf pan. Just like so. And what we're going to do now, we've got our bottom layer, and we are simply going to, we're going to be putting on our layer of toasted nuts. Now, if you wanted to, you could do the nuts and banana layer together, or you could do it separate. I'm not going to do them together, I'm going to do it separate. So I'm going to put these at the bottom. You can just spread those out. This is about a 1/4 cup, I'd say. And toasting them will better the flavor. We'll keep those bits aside. And so now I'm going to put on a new layer on top of our pecans, and just be careful not to, I mean, it's not the end of the world if you get some of the pecans onto the next layer. It's still going to be amazing, but it would be nice if you can get a consistent layer without the nuts in it. Obviously, when it bakes, they're going to spread a little. All right. That should be pretty good. go. So I've got my layer of nuts underneath there, and now our bananas are next. And so I'm going to get a spoon and scoop these on. They look delicious. If you wanted to make it more banana-y, like this is kind of more of a banana nut bread, like a banana nut chocolate bread or whatever you want to call it. If you want to make it more, like with more bananas, by all means, because you really could do a big layer of bananas. It's really up to you. So I've got my banana layer here. I'll just show you in 1 second. See right there? So now we're going to add in the rest of our batter. Just the top part shouldn't be too much of a struggle, but the banana batter is a little bit wet, so it will take a little bit of energy. And don't be surprised, unless you're really particular, there could be 1 or 2 bananas that seep through the banana bread in the end, and that's completely normal because as it rises, just a lot of things happen there. So just try to get, I probably could have measured out. If you want to be really consistent with your layers, like get a very exact amount, you could weigh your batter and divide it in 3. That way you have consistency on all the levels. But I don't mind a little bit of bananas showing. That way people know it's a banana bread. There we go. So I know it doesn't look like much right now, but trust me, it's going to be incredible. So now, this is the thing you have to understand about this bread. Because this bread, there's different layers, like we have the banana layer, which is wet. It's harder for us to put a toothpick in because really the banana layer is right underneath and it's automatically going to be wet. So what you're going to look for is the bread will puff up, it will semi-crack. If you tap the top, it will sound a bit hollow, but it should still be moist. It should develop a little bit more color, but those should be your signals. I'm going to put this in. I'll show you what it looks like once it's done. I have left a few bananas exposed here, but that's completely up to you. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So this is our loaf, and it's going to go into the oven, and I'll show you what it looks like once it's done. Alright, so I've now taken the loaf out of the oven, and as you can see, it's still hot, but you've got the banana layer. You can't see the walnut layer, but it's there. And it's very good. So what you want to do when you take it out of the oven, when it's good and ready, it should be around 35 to 45 minutes. When it's ready, take it out of the oven, let it sit for like 10 minutes, then using an offset spatula or a knife, cut around the edges of the loaf to loosen up the edges, and then you're going to want to plop it over and put it on a baking tray. So let's give it a try. These are some crumbly pieces because I was cutting off the end piece, and the end piece, as you know, is always the hardest one to cut, but let's give it a try. It's very good. And you know, baking those or cooking those bananas on the stove really makes a big difference. It's very moist, and it's got a bit of a chewy flavor from those rolled oats that I use, because I use the chewy, the thick, big rolled oats. It's delicious. So as you can see, it's very easy and simple to make. Recipe, as you know, is at bakeyourway.com, and so I hope you go and check out the recipe and many others. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.